Hello and welcome to Africa Focus News Update. You're watching KOW TV and I'm your host Maurice Mbugua. From the fuel pumps of South Africa to the historic football pitches of the continent and deep into the heart of the Horn of Africa's stability, we bring you the defining stories of the day. We begin today in South Africa, where a perfect storm of global conflict and domestic inflation is leaving motorists in a state of deep distress, despite a recent intervention by the government to slash the general fuel levy by R3 per litre. The relief has been swallowed whole by the sheer magnitude of global price hikes. As the war in the Gulf continues to destabilize oil markets, South Africans are witnessing some of the most aggressive pump price increases in the nation's history. Now, for the average citizen in Johannesburg, the sentiment is one of exhaustion and anger, while some drivers have acknowledged the state's R3 cushion as a helpful gesture. They maintain that it is simply not enough to offset the rising cost of living. This isn't just about the price of a full tank. Economists are warning of a serious ripple effect as transport costs rise. The price of bread, milk, and basic services is expected to climb, placing an almost unbearable burden on pensioners and low-income households. The fear across the Rainbow Nation is that without a cooling of global tensions, the cushion provided by the government will just be a short-term bandage on a significant economic wound. Moving on, in the Horn of Africa, the Republic of Somaliland is facing a critical domestic turning point as senior leaders call for an urgent national rescue to end localized violence. Interior and Security Minister Abdallah Mohamed Arab has issued a stern warning regarding the escalating clashes in the Aldal and Salah regions. Speaking from the presidential palace in Hargeisa, the minister revealed that armed groups in these areas appear highly prepared for further hostilities, suggesting that any delay in intervention could lead to a devastating loss of life. The gravity of the situation was echoed by Saliban Mahmoud Adan, the chairman of the House of Elders. During a national consultation, the veteran leader praised President Abdirahman Mohamed Abdullahi Iro for convening the country's top minds to find a path toward peace. The chairman emphasized that Somaliland has a long and successful history of resolving its own crisis through internal dialogue and the wisdom of its elders. However, the chairman was blunt in his assessment. The window for peaceful resolution is closing and the administration must act with total unity to secure a ceasefire and begin the long process of reconciliation. For the communities in the West whose livelihoods have been upended by the fighting, the hope is that this unified national response will restore the stability that has long been the hallmark of the Somaliland Republic. And tonight we analyze the 58th session of the Somaliland Council of Ministers, a meeting that serves as a vital barometer for the state of the nation. Chaired by President Iro, the cabinet tackled a forefront challenge: security, the economy, health, and the backbone of the nation, that is livestock. This session highlights a government trying to maintain a delicate balance between domestic growth and the external shocks of a world at war. On the security front, while Minister Abdallah Mohamed Arab maintained that the country remains largely stable, the shadow of the Aldal-Salah conflict looms large. The government strategy is now shifting towards a unified national response, a move that suggests the nation is ready to move beyond local mediation to a more robust, centralized peace effort. This is a crucial test of President Iro's leadership, proving that his administration can protect its citizens while upholding the constitutional mandate for reconciliation. Economically, the analysis is more sobering. Trade Minister Abdurrahman Hassan Noor provided a candid look at how the Middle Eastern conflict is directly hitting the pockets of Somalilanders, with maritime insurance costs for the Red Sea skyrocketing and supply chains fractured. The price of imported fuel and food has risen dramatically. This has led to a noticeable drop in the average citizen's purchasing power. Now, the government's current strategy involves a heavy market monitoring to prevent price gouging by traders. But as a nation reliant on imports, Somaliland remains at the mercy of global market volatility. There is, however, a silver lining in the social sectors. The Health Ministry reports a successful decline in recent seasonal illnesses following an aggressive nationwide response. Furthermore, the big catch-up vaccination campaign, which concluded this week, represents a strategic move toward long-term public health independence, aiming to reduce the nation's reliance on foreign donor programs. In the livestock sector, despite the scars of recent drought, the health of the national herd remains stable, with over 2 million animals benefiting from grazing projects this year. The focus has now shifted to the Balbera Gateway, with plans for a modern animal facility and a dedicated livestock export port. This analysis shows a Somaliland that is resilient. While it cannot control the wars across the seas, it is doubling down on the sectors it can control to shield its people from the worst of the global storm. And finally, we turn to the world of sports in football, where Africa is preparing to make history. For the first time ever, a record 10 African nations have secured direct qualification for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This massive milestone is the result of the tournament's expanded format, but more importantly, it is a testament to the rising technical standards of the African game. The lineup is a formidable mix of legendary giants and hungry newcomers. Heavyweights like Morocco, Egypt, and Senegal will be joined by the Democratic Republic of Congo, who clinched the historic 10th slot in a decisive victory. For the DRC, this marks a triumphant return to the world stage after a 50-year absence. With South Africa and Cape Verde also in the mix, the continent is sending its most diverse and competitive delegation yet. Following Morocco's historic semi-final run in 2022, the expectation is no longer just to participate but to dominate. Now, as these 10 nations prepare to head to North America, the message to the rest of the world is clear. The era of Africa being a dark horse is over. The continent has arrived as a powerhouse, and that from the halls of power in Hargeisa to the roar of the stadium, we continue to track the forces shaping our future in Africa. Thank you for joining us on Africa Focus. My name is Maurice Mbugua. Remember to follow us on all our social media platforms.